Welcome everyone to our C2C workshop, our College to Careers workshop. And this afternoon, we are talking about career fair insights with some industry professionals. And we're really excited because this will help all of you to prepare, maybe get some of the jitters out related to working a career fair, as we have our Walker Spring Connect career fair coming up on Thursday from 1 to 4 in the Holmes Convocation Center. We want to see all of you all there interacting, and now you'll have some faces that you already might recognize that when you go to that event. So we want to thank you all for joining us tonight. We want to welcome you to that event as well. Also, just a couple other little housekeeping things. We are recording this session so that others can see this. We'll send this out so that people might be able to use this and weren't able to attend tonight. In addition to recording this session, we have a couple people on that I want to introduce in addition to our panelists. So Dylan Waskenbach, our career coach for undergrad students, is on, as well as Ali Sedrith, and she's helping me kind of a co-pilot. They'll be taking a look at the chat and wanting to make sure that, if you have questions that you want answered, we are going to allow time for that. But if you have something maybe that's really pertinent for that moment and what we're talking about, you can put that in the chat, or if you don't want to forget, and we'll be sure to get that question answered. As we get to the end, people can unmute and kind of raise your hand and chat, ask questions, or again, put those in the chat so that we find out what you need to hear about from our panelists who have expertise in this area. Also, Dylan is going to be available on the kind of lobby area on the second floor of Peacock Hall tomorrow morning. So if this brings up some questions, some things that you want individually answered, be sure to stop by and see him. And I think that is all of the housekeeping items that I needed to go over before we get started and get the ball rolling here. So again, I'm Maureen Cathy, career coach within the Walker College of Business Career Services. We've got some wonderful panelists here. I'm just going to give a little name introduction here, and I'm going to let them introduce themselves and give you some good information. So actually we've got Cyrillus, Luann, Lauren, and Cynthia. Again, I'll kind of call you out, but if you would like to tell us in this first question who you are, who you're representing for your company, maybe who you're hiring or what you're hiring for at the career fair, and just a little bit brief information that might help students know a little bit about your organization. So Lauren, if you would like to kick us off, I'm going to start with you.
Sure. Thanks so much, Maureen. And hi, everyone. Super excited to be here and hopefully share some good knowledge with you that you can use over the next few days. As Maureen said, my name is Lauren Killebrew, and I am the Talent Acquisition Program Manager for University Programs at Bandwidth. So if you're not familiar with Bandwidth, we are a software communications company, and essentially we deliver the power to communicate. So that could be through voice services, through messaging services, through emergency services. So fun fact, if you are called into this meeting right now, you're using one of our products. So really cool. So we power things like Google Voice, Google Meet, the calling feature of Zoom, Rover, if you have a dog, if you've ever used the Rover app. So quite a few of the technologies that we've all come to love, we really help support. And we hire both non-technical and technical individuals. So for us at the career fair, one of the big things that we're going to be looking for are some sales development reps. So we'll be doing speed selling with Dr. Guy tomorrow, and then myself and 2 other individuals from the sales team will be at the career fair on Thursday. And we do have a couple internships, so technical and non-technical internships that we'll be hiring for as well. They will go very quickly, so I would encourage you check out our website before. That way we're ready to talk on Thursday.
Thank you. Cynthia, do you want to go next?
Sure, thanks. Cynthia Little, and I am with MSC Industrial Supply. It is a 80-year plus company in industrial distribution. So I thought that was really cool how Lauren kind of made the tie-in. I don't know if it's a fun fact, but if you think about maybe the chairs that you're sitting in, or, when you're on a plane, we pretty much are business to business. And so we are a supplier. So it may be the nuts and bolts as small as that to aviation planes, but a lot of corporate roles, sales roles that we have. I actually am the leader for our Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Initiative at MSC, as well as the early talent programs. So always excited to be able to participate in the event, specifically the one coming up on Thursday. So you will see me along with 3 other, matter of fact, mountaineers. I believe all 3 that are coming are mountaineers. So they're super excited to come and to be able to recruit and engage and interact with you all. But I've been with the company for about 9 years, and we have 2 corporate locations, one in New York and one in North Carolina. We are hybrid, but for the most part, they are fully, you can work fully remotely. We have internships, and as Lauren mentioned, we have a few that are still available. So we are definitely looking to fill those, and a couple of rotational opportunities, which is usually for graduates. So if you are a graduate or in grad school, you know, you're more than happy to apply for the rotational program. And then we have just open opportunities, but I would also encourage you to go out and take a look at our career pages, check us out, read a little bit about us, and looking forward to seeing you all on Thursday.
Wonderful. Thank you for being here. Luann?
Thank you, Maureen. I appreciate it. And I feel so privileged to be on here with this esteemed panel with my friends up here that I haven't met yet, but I'm going to meet you Thursday. So I'm looking forward to that as we come up the mountain from Raleigh, North Carolina. So I am Luann Wooters, and I am one of the Learning and Development Managers at Builders Mutual Insurance Company. So of course, by our name in itself, you can pretty much figure out we're an insurance company. But we're a little bit different in the fact that we primarily service the construction industry. So a little bit different than some of your other insurance companies that you may be familiar with. We're very much a niche or a boutique type insurance company, but have worked with Appalachian for quite some time and are very proud and have lots of colleagues that have gone through your risk management and insurance program there. And so, of course, we are looking at those individuals that are in that program already. But I don't want you to, if you're not in that program, say, oh, well, that's not something I can do. There are lots of positions at a company. We have data analytics, we have actuarial, we have accounting, finance, and other things. We have sales positions and things like that. So don't let the insurance scare you away. I promise you, we're not all slick Willie trying to sell you a used car, knocking door to door. But we do have, as Lauren and Jacinta mentioned, we do have internships as well. And some of those are on our website. We're in the middle of putting a couple more out. But I look so forward to hopefully meeting some of you as well as my panelists this Thursday.
Thank you. And last but not least.
Well, hello, everyone. My name is Sarah Lise Coxon, but I go by Sari just to make it short and sweet, hopefully. I represent Enterprise Holdings with Enterprise, National, and Alamo Rental Car. I believe we're all interconnected. I'm hearing all the stories and we all service each other in a way or the other. But what I'm actually here to represent at our career fair are multiple positions. I'm looking for interns for this summer. I still have several positions open for Boone and all the way from Western North Carolina, all the way down to South Rock Hill, South Carolina. So I still have a lot of those open, and I'm still looking for staff accountants and interns in our staff accountant industry or finance industry. But the programs that we're famous for is our management trainee program. So all year round, we hire for our management trainee, and that's why we look for our lovely App State grads. And I cannot wait to meet you all on Thursday.
Thank you all so much. I feel like I've already learned things, friendly faces. Like I said, that all of you now can go to the fair and have conversations with these great recruiters that are going to be joining us. So as I mentioned a little bit earlier for my panelists, I'm going to ask you all some questions. I'll probably kick it off with someone. Feel free to then take the lead and jump in if you have additional things to add. If you don't have additional things to add, that is perfectly fine as well. Someone might just have taken all those good nuggets and put them all together for us. But with this first question, we think about preparing. What we're doing here is hopefully preparation for the students, but thinking about what they can be doing right now ahead of actually stepping foot in that career fair. I'd love to know your ideas on what you think are some good tips and ideas for them to do some of that preparation. So since we ended with you, we're going to start with you, Sari, and see if you can give us some tips on that, and then anyone else who would like to join in.
Absolutely. So I'm thinking when I was a student, right, going into a career fair, what could I possibly have done while I was a student so that when I walked into that career fair, I can land a position that I really want? One of the main things that a recruiter will ask you when you're at the booth is, what is it that you're looking for? So the first tip that I will recommend all the students that are attending this meeting is to really identify yourself and see what is it that you want to do. Are you looking for an internship to get the experience? Or are you looking for that long-term career vision position that you want? With that in mind, you can actually target your audience, which is the recruiter, and be able to be specific of your goals and make sure that that matches with that organization so that, gosh, hopefully you can land that first interview and an opportunity with that company.
Yeah, and I would also add to, as I stated earlier, and I think Lauren mentioned it too, is like check out the company's website. Like if you have a list of all the employers that will be attending, to look at the websites, to take an opportunity to see if the values and see if you can get a feel of the culture aligns with your personal values and culture, along with looking at job descriptions to determine, okay, so what are the skill sets, and start really thinking about how you can translate some of the work that you've done and the experience you have to the roles that are available. I think that is great for preparation.
And I'd like to just chime in too. First of all, attending a session like this is a great way to prepare. So you're all doing something already, but talk to Dylan, talk to Maureen, have them look at your resume to make sure that, you know, you're really representing yourself. That's your story. And it really tells us, you know, on the other side of the table, who you are, the types of things that you've done, but then also the types of things that you're interested in. So talking with career services beforehand and making sure that you're bringing your best self forward is another great thing to do to prepare.
I ditto everything they said.
Sounds good to me. And yeah, I like the plug for business career services and utilizing the resources that you have. We also, if for some reason that isn't working in your schedule, there's a lot of resources on our website related to your materials and preparation and things that you can be doing. We have a lot of YouTube videos like this one will be up there to maybe help you with some of that preparation. And as far as research, definitely, I also concur on that. And we have our list. Hopefully you've all already seen it, but on the career fair page within Business Career Services, there are the companies attending, which also includes links to their websites, their career pages, and links to perhaps positions that they may have posted in Handshake at this time. So lots of readily easy research materials for you just from that one spreadsheet. So please check that out. There's also a map available on the website, and that way you can maybe plan out a little bit your strategy as well. But I wanted to point out that we do have some of those resources that can help you with these preparation tips as well. All right, so I'm going to move on to what you might say is the best thing a student can do to impress you or at least make an impact when they're speaking with you at the career fair and they come up to your table and to you. Luann, you want to start that one off?
Absolutely. Thank you. And first of all, I want to ditto what Lauren said a while ago. I mean, I appreciate the fact that you're just here. I'm sure you had other things that you wanted to do on a sunny afternoon, but we felt, you know, you felt like it was valuable enough, and we all felt like it was valuable enough for us all to be here. So thank you, attendees, for coming. I think the thing that impresses me most is when you can tell me something already you know about our company. That tells me you've done your research ahead of time, as well as, going back to Sari's comment, to be able to know what it is you want. And if you don't know, it's okay to say you don't know. You know, there's some people that are 40-year-olds that don't know what they want to do when they grow up. So it's okay. So I would say just bring your open mind and just be open to the conversations and be real. Be your authentic self. and ask questions. And there are no dumb questions. We were all in your shoes one day. And so just come with great conversation, and any research that you've done ahead of time is always going to impress a recruiting table.
Yeah, and I would say I would just kind of follow that up with typically the stars that stand out are those that shine bright, right? So you want to have that enthusiasm, come and show that you are definitely interested in opportunities, but interested just in learning more. Because to Luann's point is that you may not know everything, but just having that growth mindset or that interest of saying, what is it about your company that I should know more about to make a more informed decision that I might want to work at your company, I think will make a positive impact. And just, asking those questions and showing up in a professional manner, so to speak, not just kind of, oh, I'm here. So, but really be intentional about your, as you visit the different booths.
I would kind of echo what Cynthia said a little bit. For me, one of the most impressive things is confidence. You don't have to be the person that has already had, 3 internships and, the 4.0 GPA. For me, I'm looking for people that are they're confident, and they want to come in, they want to work hard, and that confidence comes through in the conversation. They've got that enthusiasm, like just Cynthia said, but they're also just confident in who they are and in the conversation. Some of the best people that we've hired are people that, they didn't have the best GPA. They, didn't have 3 internships while they were in school, but the conversation they came across, and they were authentic, and they were so confident that you knew they were going to come in and just work hard and be willing to learn. So I would say confidence is really big.
I couldn't echo more what Lauren just said, and Cynthia and Luann. I'm telling you, when I am at a career fair, all I'm looking for is that personality. Yes, the resume is going to tell me all the great things that you have done, and perhaps, limited things that you have done. But that confidence is what really sells me that you're going to be that perfect employee for us. So for me, I don't care if you have 3 internships previously. I don't care if you have worked 5 years or 2 months at a previous company, but what could you offer to us? And that comes with your ability to sell yourself. And no one can do that better than you. So when you come into anyone's booth, we're looking for that charisma, that personality, that go-getter type of mentality, but a little bit of research of what you found out about the actual company so that it can tie everything together. So Luann, this is how I'm tying you in here, because really what will impress me is, yes, you're great, but what attracted you to even come to talk to me about my organization, that we can have a shared common ground.
Great, all wonderful tips for us on the things that we know now, or how we can impress. If you were nervous about how to make this all work, you probably have it all right there in that package, but we'll ask a few more questions and get some more tips as well. I'm actually going to jump around a little bit on my questions that I sent to my panelists, because I think you're talking about the approach and the confidence and things. With COVID, and many of our students have never attended a career fair. Maybe they came in the fall. Maybe that was their first one back in person. So there might be some trepidation. There might be some things that they're unsure about. And one of those things is actually, we used to just say, be ready to shake that hand. Some students may not feel comfortable doing that. Some recruiters may not feel comfortable doing that. But I also know that there's going to be some that are going back to that. So tell me a little bit about what you expect in terms of that handshake, or that kind of that approach, and how someone might handle that if they aren't feeling really comfortable to go back to that handshake. Anyone want to start that one off?
I can hit it off if that's okay. I guess COVID threw us all off, right? So we have to innovate very quickly from a virtual environment to hopefully now completely going back into in person, and still people don't know how to react and what to do. We are one of the companies that we're all about handshakes, we all handshakes and kiss baby. That was our philosophy. Now not so much, because that will not make people very comfortable. So whatever it's your comfort level, we do elbows, we do whatever it is that you like. One of the things that I have done to make the students a little bit more comfortable, even with the resume database, I don't even ask them anymore for their resume to hand me their actual papers. I do a QR code and they can just submit it that way. That makes them feel good and they don't have to be handing stuff over. But whatever makes you feel better, whatever makes you comfortable, we have plenty of hand sanitizer, so that will be okay. So at the end of the day is what makes you be you and comfortable during that career fair, so that it doesn't stop you showing who you really are. We are very much retail-like in our workspace, so we're not virtual. So you're going to have to get used to being in front of people and interacting with people. So going through this career fair will put you probably first-hand experience on how to act with the public, if you haven't done that in a while. But honestly, whatever makes you feel comfortable.
Yeah, I would echo what Sari said, that we're an in-person culture. We just value that in-person collaboration. I'm literally in a conference room in our office right now. And for me, when I approach someone, I say, hey, are you open to handshakes, elbows, just to kind of read the room. And if they say, hey, I'd rather not, then that's okay. But I think it's, ask them, hey, I would love to shake your hand. Are you open to that? And if they say, no, thank you, don't get offended, say, okay, great. And, I would echo, so I'm old school. I personally like a paper resume. I like to write all over it. I like to circle things. So if you have a paper resume, I will certainly take it. With that being said, if you are not comfortable carrying that around and passing it, we also will have a way that students can email us a resume, whether it's a QR code, an email, whatever that may be. We'll take them digitally or in person. Again, I think the biggest thing we've learned from all this is just understanding people's comfortability, and just having those open conversations of how comfortable are you, or if you're not, okay, that's okay.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more, Lauren. When I am on that side of the table, I want you to feel comfortable, because I look at it as you are probably already nervous, and you're not going to offend me. So if you pull back, because, probably the old mama in me just wants to reach out and hug you, and no, I'm not going to. But no, just for you to be comfortable. I can fist bump and elbow bump and whatever you want, but I like paper resumes, or I'm fine digital. So just really want you to be comfortable.
Yeah, I would echo that. So I would say that for majority of the employers, especially those that are in the talent acquisition arena, understand, the social piece of it, and definitely open. So, don't feel awkward or feel compelled that you have to do one thing or another. We'll definitely be looking to be accommodating, so to speak, to make sure that you all are comfortable, because we want you to not worry about that and just focus on learning more about, the opportunities and the organizations that are there.
Thank you. That's helpful to kind of know that perspective, because even we have been thinking about what we suggest to students. We have talked about, if someone extends a hand and you're not really feeling that, you could almost kind of do a little wave if you don't, or like you said, extend the elbow or something else. But it's great to hear that they should know that whatever they're feeling comfortable with is going to be accepted, and not kind of a judgment on that part of the interaction. So thank you for that advice. So then as we progress into that connection there at the table, what do you tend to have as your first question, maybe that you ask a student, or do you prefer them to ask something first? What do you think about elevator pitches? Let's talk a little bit about kind of that piece of that beginning of the interaction. Cynthia, do you want to start that one?
Sure. So for for us, I think it typically is just, you know, the introductions, of course, naturally, but just asking primarily, just be prepared to share, you know, your major, because that's going to be important to determine, does it align with the opportunities that are available? I know it says, you know, first question, but this is kind of just a major, the year that you're in. So, you know, if you're a rising junior or senior, things like that, I think would be just the first preliminary. And as far as an elevator pitch, I'm not gonna say not to have one. I mean, it's cool to just already have a predetermined blurb that you can share with the employers to that will help with your preparation and confidence as you meet with different employers. And it's not something that you're like, oh, what am I going to say? Am I going to say this? So I would say it's not a must-have, but it's a nice to have.
Yeah, if I could just chime in on that, I think everything you said, Cynthia, around elevator pitch, it's not a must, but it certainly is a nice to have. I feel like my go-to question after, you know, introductions have been made is kind of just tell me about yourself. Like that's the opening I like to use to give students the opportunity to go into that elevator pitch. And I think that then takes away from some of the back and forth, like, okay, well, what's your major? When are you graduating? What are you interested in? And so I think if you already kind of solve that with the elevator pitch, it just makes the conversation flow a little bit more. But certainly if you get there and you kind of freeze up and suddenly forget your elevator pitch, that's okay. We've been on the other side of the table, but I would say, you know, just being prepared to talk about that if they go, you know, if they give you that opening for an elevator pitch is always a great, nice to have.
Yeah, just tell me your story. That's what I want to hear. Just tell me your story.
Absolutely. I think, you know, telling the story, and then even with that elevator pitch, if you can introduce of, hey, I noticed that you're looking for interns for your accounting team. Can you talk to me a little bit more about that, and bring that connection to that company to your elevator pitch? And I will be talking to you until you get tired about all the openings that we do have, because I definitely want to talk to you about what we have to offer for you too.
Great. Thank you all. Wonderful advice. So we've done some how-tos and some positive things. Let's maybe touch just briefly on some things that maybe that are faux pas, maybe even major faux pas that you have perhaps seen in the past or we want to be sure that students avoid. And that could be anything from how they're approaching your appearance to something they're saying or doing that's really kind of a turnoff or a faux pas. Lauren, you want to start that one?
Yeah, sure. You know, I think the thing that probably stands out the most to me is just a poorly written resume. And your resume does not have to be, you know, this shining star, but it's the little things around no contact information or misspellings or, you know, just things that don't make sense, whether it's dates or positions or, you know, long paragraphs of what you did in a role. So I would say that's probably the biggest one for me. There's a lot of things that I can overcome. But when I look at a resume and I see some of those things that stick out, then it starts putting questions into my head of, well, does this person have attention to detail? Or, you know, is it just time management? Maybe they were throwing this together at the last minute. So for me, I would say the biggest one is probably just anything related to your resume, misspellings, no contact information, just poorly written in general is probably the biggest for me.
So that's another plug for being sure you get your resume reviewed by someone. Even if
I promise they didn't tell me to do this.
I agree with Lauren. The misspelling words, even more than the content to me, it jumps out to some people that are recruiting, because it does tell you, did you take enough time or did you seek advice and have someone else look at this beside that? And the other, just a funny faux pas, have one of your friends check your outfit before you leave. I've literally had people come with tags still hanging on their suit jacket. And like I said, the mom in me wants to run over there and let me take you over to the side a minute and take this off. So just look your best. You don't have to be perfect. You don't have to be a model, but just that you showed that you took time to have someone else look at your resume and have someone else look at you.
Yeah,
and we have some things to help that. We will have scissors and some things in the restrooms that can help if there's something kind of amiss or awry. One that we often try and help students with is, if you did happen to just buy a jacket, a blazer, there's often stitching that's holding the vent in the back together, or tags, something on the sleeve that need to be snipped off. So yeah, be sure that you check that out, or grab some scissors that we have up there for you before you make it down to the floor. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, Cynthia.
No, you're perfectly fine. And I was just gonna circle back and say that that was where I was gonna go, Luann, is the dress. But our company, our organization is business casual. So if you met with our CEO, he's not going to have a suit jacket on. He will have a dress shirt on, but he may even have one button down. But you do want to dress for the role that you're, wanting to obtain. So with keeping that in mind, you do want to take some care and consideration around, if it's just, slacks, khakis, polo, a nice dress slacks for, ladies, and a blouse. Again, it doesn't have to be a 3-piece suit, but you do want to come prepared. And it also gives you a certain little level of confidence as well, that you are prepared and showing up at your best. So.
Any other faux pas that we need to avoid?
I think nothing is worse than approaching a recruiter and not knowing anything about the company, and then trying to put pieces together. Oh, you're that rental car company, right? And I'm like, oh, it does say that on the name, right? So, just knowing a little bit about the company that you are coming to talk to, it says it all. And obviously the other ladies gave great tips on dress code, resume, what not to do and what to do on your actual resume. But you have Maureen and everyone at Career Service that can help you and hopefully make your resume look like a star, a writing star. But nevertheless, a lot of the recruiters also reach out to you prior to the career fair sometimes and let you know, like, if you need anything, reach out to us. We are more than happy to assist you, because we like that approach. And nothing is better than having that person that comes that don't know how to put it together, and then you're able to help them, and then they get the actual position. And that's, to me, that's my proud moment. So we love that. And I'm sure, Maureen, you probably love that too, when your students are able to get the position that they really wanted because you help them with their resume.
That's the goal, is for y'all to be empowered and get that help that you need so that you can make those great next steps. And you've got so much support. And I know that a lot of you out there may have some of those nerves or be unsure of yourself, but people are there to kind of help you in that success journey. So take that and run with it. I didn't want to completely leave kind of the dress and appearance kind of thing. I mean, we may have already touched on everything that we need to there, but I do know there's kind of sometimes those questions about a company that's business casual, or the recruiters. I've seen in the pictures that the recruiters are wearing, business casual or the polo shirts. What should I wear? Or am I going to look too dressed if I go, suit, even though it's a business casual company I want to work for? So are there any other just things that haven't been mentioned already related to dress, things that might help students understand that a little bit better or feel comfortable, and maybe even related to if it's a virtual, next up is a virtual interview, does that look different? If you just want to, if anyone wants to jump in there and address that.
Well, I will say we are also business casual. If you see our CEO, he probably could be in jeans, even some days. But my advice is very similar to what Cynthia said, like, dress for the role that you want to be in, and kind of that dress to impress. Once you're at the company and you can read the room and you see, okay, this is how my peers, this is what they wear on a daily basis. I think it's great to do that, but you want to come, to impress people. And I would say even on the virtual side, you still want to, as if it was in person, you were sitting right across the room from someone. I always say, plan to dress as if you were wanting to impress them. Now, like just Cynthia said, that does not have to be a 3-piece suit. It's whatever you are comfortable in. Because I think that's the key here too, is being comfortable. But it shouldn't be, hopefully, your everyday jeans that you just pulled out of the dryer, and the shirt you just pulled off of the hanger, the wrinkles and everything like that. You should take a little more time to put yourself together a little bit more.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And we welcome, I'm not saying if you wanted to put on a 3-piece suit, we're perfectly fine with that as well. So I didn't want to deter anyone from putting on their best dress because, that will be impressive for us. But to Lauren's point, it's definitely your comfortability. And just a caveat is also, okay, I'm getting ready to pick out my go-to dress for that weekend, getaway or party, is one that you might not want to pull off the hanger on a day that you're trying to secure employment opportunities. So just kind of keep that in mind. And I like the comment earlier when it was, have a buddy, do a check and say, hey, what do you think about this, outfit? Or someone from the career services team, you might run it by them. Do you think that this would be more appropriate versus that? I think is a great way to approach it.
I think the important thing too is, and of course I agree with everything they've said, is to be neat and clean. Don't look like you just, like Lauren said, that you just grabbed the thing out of the dryer and threw it on. Is, to me, is more important really than the actual article of clothing you're wearing, is that your overall appearance is put together, goes with that confidence and everything else. And honestly, interesting, even adults, we did a virtual interview with someone about a month ago, and they actually showed up because it was a virtual interview. He was sitting on his couch in his sweatpants. And you're like, wow. And we're business, I don't even think we're business casual anymore. I mean, it's pretty much we're not even in the office that much. So it's pretty much whatever anybody wants to wear. You dress for your day. That's the kind of way. So, but I was like, I can't imagine that anybody would show up sitting on, just like you were sitting in your living room having a conversation. That was a little bit too much. So don't do that.
Well, we want to let you know too, everyone, all the students are out there, that we also have resources, of course, on these types of topics. Dylan has created a wonderful guide that you can find on our Business Career Services website related to dress and kind of all levels of professional dress. We also recognize that there are a lot of identities out there and things that you may be taking into consideration as you dress to feel authentic and comfortable. And that you should do that with the idea in mind that what you have on hopefully brings you confidence, and it looks like you took the time for, again, the day that you're about to have the kind of interaction that you want to have. But if you have questions about that specifically, obviously you can talk with us. You can look at that resource online. Also, if you, again, I think what you've heard here is it doesn't have to be the Armani suit. It doesn't have to be a really expensive kind of item. If you are though looking to find something, we have a lot of different ideas for you, between things that, people buy the blazer once, and now that they're working remotely, there's a lot of things at Goodwill and some of our other secondhand clothing. It's also a sustainable way to go about things. And we also have a shop, kind of a pop-up little shop on App State's campus that provides some donated clothing as well that you can go to and get for free as students. So don't let what you're wearing deter you from, we want you to think about it, but don't let that then, your thoughts that there's nothing in your closet deter you from attending on Thursday. Some of these resources that I'm mentioning, just so you know as well, Dylan and Allie are putting links to in the chat. So you can find those on our Business Career Services website, but those links are right there. All right, so let me move on to a little bit about follow-up. What kind of expectations do you have for follow-up after a student attends the fair and has an interaction with you? Maybe what can they expect perhaps from you, or what approaches should they take in terms of follow-up? And Luann, do you want to start with that one?
Sure, thank you. We usually just have that conversation, and sometimes it's different for both, just kind of depending on the feel of the conversation. But I'll tell you what impresses me is before we're even packing up, I start to hear my phone's dinging and people have already found me on LinkedIn. That impresses me, and it impresses everybody that I've ever recruited with. So I love that as a follow-up. But yes, we usually have that conversation. And again, not to be, not to really fully answer you, but it just kind of depends on the conversation we have. But we will have that conversation though, one way or the other, and explain, we will follow up with you, or, if they want to follow up. So we handle it that way, just kind of an individual.
I'm kind of like old school. I do love those thank you notes or emails, even if it's through LinkedIn. Thank you so much for sharing some light on whatever position. Even if it doesn't work out for that student, I am more than happy to share some insightful information that can help them in the future, even if it's not with us. So those thank you notes go very, very long way because it's not the common anymore. So those are kind of like the highlights of my days when I get any of those thank you emails, notes, texts, you name it. Even through the mail, I get them sometimes, which is even extra, but I love those because it tells me that you as a student took that extra time to put some thoughts together and really appreciate that conversation that you had with that recruiter. So that for me, it's on the top of my list, and I literally save them because if I see that person reapply again, I'm like, hey, manager, he or she sent me this. Look how much they are interested in that position. So those things are super, super important for me, and it should be for you.
Yeah, I really think that it does provide that extra sense of that there's a seriousness behind or an intention. That's one of my go-to words. And intentionality around seeking out opportunities. But I love the fact that Luann brought up LinkedIn, because I'm on LinkedIn a lot, and I talk on, if you are connected to me, you'll see that I talk about internships in the early career program that we have at MSC. So it's a great way to expand your network by learning the names of the representatives that you'll be speaking to for the various companies. Connect with them on LinkedIn, and you can learn about opportunities and what more about the company culture. So, if there's not an opportunity that aligns right there during the career fair, you will still have that connection going forward to be able to follow up with those individuals at another given time. It may be another season, but you'll have the opportunity to reach back and kind of connect with them. And then I also agree with Luann, it kind of it's driven off of the conversation or the discussion that you're having. As to what type of follow-up that you may receive. If it's aligning with opportunities, then it's going to be, okay, well, we have a dedicated email address that you can send correspondence to, or a QR code that you can scan to, search out opportunities and actually apply. And then, Siri, I like where you said, the follow-up notes, and that would be more so like a screening. Like if we've interviewed you or what have you, then we would, it's nice to send that reminder of thank you for taking the time to meet with me. So it keeps you top of mind for, or in the running with the recruitment process.
Echo everything that the team said.
Sounds great. Well, LinkedIn, again, a plug. We really encourage you all to have your LinkedIn profile looking good, so that if you do interact with someone and they check you out after they get your resume, you've got that there. And then certainly a great way to connect and follow up. You've got some names right here of people that you can connect with on LinkedIn. It also means, taking a moment, maybe after you've been at a table, jot down some notes. If you can, grab a business card if they have them, or whatever mode it is, to make sure that you have their name so that you can find them on LinkedIn. Ask if you can even find out their LinkedIn information right then and scan a QR code and get connected, or do that later. But make sure that you maybe take some time to make some notes before you step to a next table. It's also good to understand things that you might want to remember about your conversation or about that company, things that you might want to have for follow-up questions. So another piece of that ending of that conversation, maybe at that table, is to make some notes for yourself, to do both follow-up and so that you have that information going forward. We are starting to get closer to the end of our conversation here. So I'm going to put one more thing out to the group, but while I'm doing that, I would like to invite all of our students to think about questions that you might have. And as I said, you can start to maybe you can raise your hand with the emoji if you'd like to kind of call your name, and you can come off mute and ask that question, or you can put something in the chat. But while students are thinking about those and getting brave enough to do that, just is there any final piece of advice, something maybe we didn't touch on in our conversation that you think is really important for our students to know from your perspective? I don't know who to start with anymore. I think we've gotten a round robin with everybody, but we'll start with Lauren here. You're still in green, so.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think we hit a lot of it. I'm trying to think back through the questions that we didn't cover. Maybe one thing is just, things to be aware of while you're at the career fair. I always say, like, think of timing, because, as much as we would love to stand there and talk to you all day, every day, some people are going home after the career fair, and things like that. And so I always try and say, if, I know people have class, and so you may be running in at the last minute, but if you can, try and get there, during the meat of the hours, because the last thing we want is to not be able to talk to you because it's the end of the career fair and, our team has to get packed up and on the road. So really it's just being aware of the career fair hours, and then also just be aware of the line and things like that. For me personally, I know, I've been there where, there's 15 people in front of you, and when you get to that table, you're like, I want to take as much time. I think it's just being aware that there are other students that also want to talk to that company. And so make sure you get yourself across the way you want to, and that you get your questions answered. But that's a great way to ask for that follow-up, because if you didn't get all of your questions answered, you have that ability to kind of follow up and get those things. So I think a lot of it is just awareness around with your surroundings.
Yeah, I would echo that, and I would say it is about just striking that right balance, right? Because we do want you to be able to learn about, the companies, but and we in turn, vice versa, want to learn about you. But it is striking that balance of, and once again, the elevator pitch probably is going to be that nice to have, or that go-to, to be able to make sure, okay, it's 30 seconds, no longer than, a minute, that I can tell about myself, and then I can learn about the organization, and then, skillfully navigate through the fair. But most importantly, just don't be shy. So a lot has gone into the orchestration of these career fairs. Hats off to the organizers, and the people who are coming to represent organizations about their opportunities that they have. So if you show up, that's half the battle, right? You show up, so don't be shy. Make sure that you're maximizing the opportunity to meet as many employers as you can, especially those that you're most interested in, and so you can make a more informed decision.
I guess going with strategy when you're working the career fair, as a student, we'll go to those top, positions or companies that you really would like to speak with, but also don't shy away from other companies, because you might not know what they have to offer, and they are actually probably the best opportunity for you. So I'll tell you that because from experience, I did not go to school to work for Enterprise Rental Car, nothing to do with rental, nothing to do with business. My degree is in political science. I wanted to be a criminal psychiatrist, and clearly I'm not doing that. But I will tell you, getting to meet those representatives at those companies, that's what opened my eyes and really let me look farther than what my vision would allow me to. So yes, go for that company that you really are interested, but don't stop with them. Visit the other career booths and see what they have to offer also for you. And it's okay if you don't know much about the organization, and that could be your introduction. Hey, I don't know much, but this is what I'm looking for. Do you think that you have something that can match with my skills or my personality, whatever it is that you want to say at that moment? And that person will be able to guide you through all the positions that they might have to match with your actual skills. I have many people that come to me and they are looking for IT positions. Well, locally, I don't have any IT positions, right? But I'm able to guide them through our main career website, through our main hub, our corporate office in St. Louis, and they do hire for IT. I might not necessarily hire for that position, but I might have the tools to help you get where you need to go. So that's my 2 cents.
Yeah, and of course I echo everything they said, which goes back to one of my other comments, was just to keep an open mind, like Sari just said, to keep an open mind of what the possibilities are that are in the room that you may not even be aware of. And the other thing I would just like to mention is I'm so thankful for the few of you that chose to be on camera. It's so nice to see your faces, and there's nothing wrong with these people that have just their name up. That's fine. But I appreciate you being brave enough to be on camera for this.
Thank you all so much. We're going to see if we have some student questions in the room. And as I'm waiting to see some of those, again, an echo of, for that, keeping that open mind and approaching others' tables, we do have that list that it indicates who all is coming, and it does indicate what maybe majors they have indicated they might be looking for. But I would say use that tool, but also the caution there is that sometimes whoever's filling out that form isn't who's coming to the fair, or needs have changed. And we also know, like I think we were discussing earlier, that just because it's an insurance company doesn't mean it has to be an insurance kind of role. All companies have all kinds of roles. So that piece of keeping an open mind and exploring, this is really your chance to explore. So Dylan and Allie, do we have any hands raised or any student questions out there? Things that we may have just done a really good job of covering stuff, but I'd love it if you have a question to ask these wonderful resources that we have with us tonight, if you would like to do that.
Looks like we do have a couple hands raised virtually. So looks like Anna Carroll, you want to start?
Sure. Hey, my name is Anna Carroll. I am an economics major and I'm going to graduate in December of 2023. This is kind of like my sophomore year, so I haven't had a lot of experience in internships and work opportunities like that. And with me being an econ major, most of my skills are in data analytics and stuff like that. But my skill set's a little bit broader since I haven't gotten to those final years of college. What would you recommend to bring to the table for sort of like your elevator pitch if you're unsure of like what you really want to do and what you're really interested in? Because I feel like there's a lot of positions out there and I'm not 100% sure what I want to do yet.
I can chime in. I can start. Thank you, Anna, for introducing yourself. Honestly, I think the way you just introduced yourself to us is a great way to mention that to your elevator pitch. Hey, I am, really in my sophomore year. I haven't really had any internships yet. I'm studying economics, but I have data analytics skills. Everything that you just said is basically, you just elevator pitched to us. So I think exactly like what you said, it's just maybe putting in a few things about, in my free time, I like to do this. Again, your elevator pitch is telling us your story, who you are. And so it's, hey, I have some skills in data analytics, if it's R, if it's Python, whatever some of those skill sets are, and I'm looking for an internship. I'm not really sure what that internship would look like, but I think you just did a great job of basically doing an elevator pitch to us. So I don't know if anyone else has any other things that they would chime in on, but.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I would even say, you know, looking for, and I think we might have mentioned this, the tie-in to extracurricular activities. You know, if you're leading, you know, a club or something, or you're the treasurer and, you know, you want to make mention of that because you have a passion around something. I can give an example, and I'm gonna make it quick. I told you I have 3 mountaineers coming with me on Thursday, and one of them, her major and minor was supply chain and logistics, and she actually is in diversity and inclusion. So that's another thing, you know, you may major and minor in something and find yourself in. We've had some that have gone through the rotational program in finance, but they ended up in HR at the end of the program because they did a cross-functional rotation. So just, you know, talk about what, you know, your interests are. And by you taking on, you never know, you could land in an opportunity and say, hey, you know, this is kind of, I'm pivoting a little bit. So just be open to that.
Thank you.
Great. Well, I think we have another question. Dylan, did you want to call on whoever that is at the moment?
Yep. So looks like Jakaya. Is that correct?
Yeah. Can you hear me? Hello, everyone. You all have like great advices, and I wish I can come to the career fair because I'm an international student. I come from the United Arab Emirates. I'm a transfer student from Germany at App State. And I was wondering if it's all right to text. I mean, I won't be there in person. So I was wondering if I text you, recruiters like you directly, is that polite? Okay. I was like, oh, she's not showing up in the career fair. Why is she texting her?
I guess if we should expand on that, if someone is unable to attend for the fair, what do you like as the best approach? They do have that list, maybe they might not have an exact name of a recruiter. Kind of what would you suggest if someone isn't able to? Maybe they're in class or something and can't attend. Is there any way to make that connection and do it in a professional way?
Maureen, will you be able to maybe reach out by submitting our information, maybe our email, our contact information? So obviously we're not going to be able to get that, you know, through, because we are not there to see them. But if they can connect with you, you can always forward our information to them and they can connect that way. Another way, sometimes our own career websites, for example, ours has the recruiter's name on it. So that's another way that you can reach out. If there is an employer that you might be interested, if you go to the career site, you might highlight, you know, the recruiter's name that you can actually reach out and how to reach out to them as well.
And you can always mention actually something about, you know, I knew that you were attending the Appalachian State Walker Spring Connect. I unfortunately wasn't able to come, and kind of give that a little bit of a, it's always good maybe to tell a little bit of why you're making that connection. I always recommend that with LinkedIn as well. When you're connecting, get a reminder, I met you at the career fair at Appalachian State. I wasn't able to be at the career fair at Appalachian State, whatever it might be, is a good way to kind of start that introduction a little bit for you all.
Yeah, I was going to mention, Maureen, what you just said. You know, if you're not able to come, but there are companies you're interested in, do a little bit of digging on LinkedIn. You know, you can find, if you just search for companies, you can find people that have a LinkedIn profile. And typically your best bet is someone in recruiting or talent acquisition, because we're on the tool all the time. But I think it's easy to you know, send them a message or a connection and just say, hey, I wasn't able to attend, but I'm interested. Is there any information you can share? Or do you, you know, do you have someone that you can put me in touch with? I always caution, try not to spam us. You know, sometimes you get students that enjoy reaching out to 15 people in the company, and we will respond. It may be a little bit of time, but we will respond. So that's my recommendation is if you can't make it, try to find us on LinkedIn and connect.
Looks like we have a question from Stephen.
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi, my name's Stephen Dirk. I'm currently a junior with a management major, and I'm set to graduate of spring of next year, 2023. My question, y'all, is I get a lot of questions, about what I know in the business side, aspect side. What kind of personal things are you looking for in a person when you ask them questions that will stand out to y'all? What kind of things in a person or their day-to-day life are you looking for that are not in the business sense?
That's a great question. I think going back to a little bit of what Cynthia just said, what are your extracurricular activities? Are you a club leader? What are your volunteer activities in the community? Just anything like that is always impressive to people that are looking, that you're not just a one-dimensional person. And so just again, tell a little bit about your story.
Your involvement, what is your passion, right? Because that tells your story besides the skills that you do have. We love to hear that. That's why we tell you, hey, tell me a little bit about yourself. Yes, we want to hear everything that you have done in the workplace, but we also want to hear about if you were a leader, right? Because if you're applying for a leadership position, have you led a team? Have you been involved in leadership, leadership, sports, athletics, anything that can really highlight you besides what the resume can say?
Awesome. I appreciate the answers, by the way. I really do.
Dylan, do we have any more questions or any questions in the room for kind of our watch party or anything that we want to cover?
Nope, not currently in the room. I didn't see any in the chat last time I checked. Nope.
All right, this is kind of your last chance. We're at our time, but I do want to make sure that if you have a question, you get it answered, as long as our panelists are willing to hang out for just a minute. So any last minute questions before we wrap up our wonderful session this evening? All right. Well, I want to thank you all. I want to thank all of our participants. I want to thank students for showing up and taking their time to use this as part of your preparation. That again, part of the battle right there. So if you're nervous, you know that you already are on track. You're maybe ahead of other people that haven't had this opportunity to learn from our panelists. If you do have friends, though, who weren't able to attend and want to learn from our panelists, we're going to have this resource available on our YouTube channel, our Business Career Services YouTube channel, which you can access from our website. We're going to try and get that up as quickly as we can tomorrow morning. And we'll also send that out with some information that goes out about logistics for the fair on Thursday. I'm going to hang on here for just a few minutes more if any student has any question maybe about the logistics of the fair or anything like that I can answer for them. But I want to give a great big thank you, a round of applause, which is always hard to do on Zoom and virtually, but for our panelists, you took time out of your evening to share with us, and we just really, truly appreciate that. And I know I'm going to look forward to getting to see you in person on Thursday, and I think our students should take advantage of the fact that you already have smiling faces that you have seen in advance of the fair. But thank you all very much, panelists. We truly appreciate your taking the time to spend with us this evening.